So, how do you feel about snakes? Now, I'm not talking about your regular ball pythons, garter snakes, or hognose snakes. I'm talking about a snake that's so long, so massive, that it makes the largest anaconda look like just a wet belt. However, to find this snake, we'll have to head over to the Congo. So, let's get into it. It's 1959 in the Congo. A military helicopter hums over the landscape. Colonel Remy Van Lierde, the war hero, ace pilot, and a man who fought against the Luftwaffe, is on patrol. He scans the ground below, and what does he see? Not an enemy convoy, no. Not even a herd of animals, but a snake. A snake so massive it looked like the land itself began to move. Some say it was 40 feet, some say 50. The story even tells of how it lifted its head, making the pilot believe it would attack. This is the story of the Congo Giant Snake, the blurry photograph, the legend, and the biology that refuses to comply. When they spotted it, it was stretched out, motionless at first. They described it as having a thick brownish-green body with a pale underbelly. In addition to its length being 40 feet long, he estimated its girth to be nearly a meter thick. That's a lot of snake. The helicopter banks lower, and at that moment, the pilot claims the snake lifts its head several feet off the ground as if to strike. Imagine flying a machine of steel and still being intimidated by a reptile. This is actually the scene of the mystery that really stuck in my mind over the years. A helicopter, a masterwork of human engineering, and a massive creature that science says shouldn't exist, both in the same space. Now, this is just my opinion, but I don't believe the snake was actually going to attack like the pilot thought. When snakes strike, they typically form a very obvious S shape at their neck. They take this shape to build tension before they strike, which I'm sure every snake owner is familiar with. However, in Lierde's report, the claim was that it only lifted its head. Now to me, that sounds a lot like periscoping, or just scoping, which is something that can be seen pretty frequently in species such as ball pythons. Now, they do this to get a better view of their surroundings. Again, this is just my 2 cents, but could it be that the snake was just trying to get a better view of the helicopter, something it had never seen or heard before? Could this be a display of higher intelligence, of maybe curiosity? Let me know what you think in the comments. I should get back on track. So let's get back to talking about the famous photograph. It's grainy, black and white, and shows what looks like a serpentine body laid out across the ground. To believers, it's clear proof of a super python. To skeptics, it's a classic case of scale confusion. Was it really a 40 to 50 foot serpent, or was it a regular 12-foot python distorted by shadows and tricks of perspective from the air? The negatives, however, were apparently kept in the archives of a Bernard Heuvelmans, the quote-unquote father of cryptozoology. Unfortunately, we don't have access to the pristine high-res scans that apparently exist there to settle the debate, which leaves us here over 60 years later squinting at pixels like herpetologist detectives. Now, here's where reality begins to squeeze around the myth. The largest snakes on record are the reticulated python of Southeast Asia, maxing out at about 30 feet. The green anaconda of South America, it's the heaviest snake alive, but it's usually a bit shorter. In Africa, the rock python, our local contender, rarely tops 20 feet. So, could a 50-foot snake even exist? Well, thing is, biology frowns on it. For a snake to double the size of known giants, it would need a vast food supply, a super efficient metabolism, an ecosystem that could support it, in addition to a breeding population. Fact is, snakes don't stop growing. Their growth just slows dramatically. The claim is that a supergiant would be old, lumbering, and probably struggling to find enough prey. And yet, according to science, there are fossils of massive titanic snakes, like the Titanoboa, from 58 million years ago, which reached over 40 feet. So in deep time, giant snakes weren't just a possibility, they were real. But in today's Congo, that's the puzzle. Giant snakes and snake-like creatures slither throughout African folklore. For instance, in Zimbabwe, stories tell of the Nyami Nyami, which is a river god that resembles a giant snake but has the head of a fish. These legends share a pattern: rivers, swamps, forests, places that feel alive and threatening. Snakes are primal symbols, and when people see something strange moving through the reeds or water, the mind could inflate it into something legendary. So, many skeptics believe that when Van Lierde and his crew flew over the Congo and spotted the snake in question, maybe their brains reached for that familiar template, that it's not just a big snake, but a giant snake. Cryptozoologists, on the other hand, argue that Van Lierde was a credible witness. He was trained, disciplined, and unlikely to exaggerate. They point to his detailed description, the coloration, and the movement of the creature. And skeptics counter that eyewitnesses, even pilots, are human. From 500 feet in the air, a 12-foot snake can look monstrous. Add adrenaline, add folklore, add memory drift, and over the years, suddenly we're telling campfire stories about helicopter-swatting reptiles. The truth might be far less cinematic. A big python, a trick of perspective, and a war hero with a story that grew taller than the trees. So, what do we do with this tale? On one hand, there's the blurry photograph believed to be authentic and a testimony of a respected man. On the other, there's the crushing weight of biology, ecology, and probability. Maybe Van Lierde really did see one of the last giants of Africa, a throwback to an era when snakes ruled swamps like Titanoboa. Or maybe he gave us the world's greatest snake photo, enhanced by human imagination. Either way, the giant snake of the Congo slithers into the halls of mystery, forever coiled between fact and folklore. However, what I would really like to know is, what do you believe? Are there massive snakes living in the unexplored regions of the Congo? Or was this just a case of scale confusion? Let me know in the comment section. Like, seriously, the best part of making these videos is getting your opinion on the topic. I'm Josiah with Paranormish, and once again, it's been a pleasure. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell for more content. So, the next time you see a snake slithering out of your way, remember, its 50-foot cousin might just be out there. Stay curious.